Good morning, everyone, and very warm and beautiful welcome here to Djuma Game Reserve in South Africa this morning. It is a stunning morning, as you can see. Like yesterday, lovely sunrise, nice and cool. It's not winter, but it's certainly not summer anymore. You do get that sort of freshness in the air. I think it's going to be a nice warm day as it goes along, but for now it's very, very pretty blue skies, a little bit of sort of high-level clouds in the distance, which helped with the sunrise earlier. And it is just, as always, such a pleasure to be out here. Let me just turn the game drive channels down a bit. My name is Peter Pretorius, and as always, it's a pleasure to have you out here in Africa with us, here in the Greater Kruger National Park. Brian is behind camera, Tara directing, and Nikki in final control. So nice to have the team out here this morning. And yeah, just excited to be in the bush as always. It is a really pretty morning. We arrived not even 48 hours ago, so I'm still very excited to be down here. And for starters, we are going to stick around close to sort of our control or to the camp area. Partly because we have the warthol here. We've had lots of activity the last day or two since we've been here in this area. Lions, leopard were around, ellies yesterday, so we're going to look around for them. I'm still hoping for Karula that Hayden saw briefly yesterday morning. It would be amazing to see her. For those of you maybe for the first drive with us, this is live. We're in the bush. Karula, the name I just mentioned, is a leopard, a female that is a bit of a legend in this area. She's mothered many cubs. The one of them was the leopard we saw yesterday afternoon. That beautiful view that Hayden had up in the tree. That's one of Karula's sons. So leopard we're looking for as always. And with the morning drives, the first hour or so, this sort of magic time when the sun is coming up, even if you don't see anything, if you see nothing, it's still brilliant. So looking forward to just being out here, and as always, amazing to have you as our guest. So thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, or maybe this is your first drive, you can hashtag Safari Live if you want to tweet. Also pick up some of the conversations there. Many of you on the drive and some of the people you might chat to in the process have been on many drives, 10 drives, 100 drives. There's literally friends with us that have been on thousands of drives. So awesome to have all of you here. I know there's nice excitement as well. The camera down at the waterhole, in fact we can actually show you the camera down in the Tamboti tree there. The camera's been fixed again. Peter Brat and Eugene were down there yesterday, so that's better than ever before. So great job, thanks guys. And I know those of you that watch the warthol camera during the day and during the night are enjoying it. And also a big thank you to the zoomies, as we call them, the people controlling the camera for us. And also for those of you that sometimes when we're all sleeping out here in Africa are seeing the leopard or seeing the lion when they come down. So it's great to have eyes and ears on the ground here 24 hours. Otherwise, not much else to say, except let's go have fun, let's go look around. HT is out there as well. We'll go say morning to him shortly. He's also looking around. And yeah, just excited to be here. Let's go see what we can find this day. Guys, another way of asking questions, apart from the hashtag Safari Live, you can email in questions as well. It's very easy. questions@WildEarthTV. And Tara and Nikki will have a look at them, go through them. We can't answer all the questions, but we'll certainly get to as many of them as we can. And remember to add into the question your name and where you're from. It's always nice to know where you came from to be here this morning with us in Africa. What is that? No, it's not. For a very, very brief second, I thought I saw an eland, which would be amazing. An eland is the largest of all the antelopes, but we don't really see them here in Djuma. You get them a bit more north. Manyeleti way you start seeing them. My wife's favorite antelope. Beautiful big antelope. They get to the same size as Brahman cattle, so spectacular, but not likely to see them here today. Look at this guy. It's actually a bird that normally is very pretty in sunlight, but it's also a bird you don't get to see up close often. So let's have a quick look at that guy. You can see the glossiness even though it's not in sunlight yet. And we get a few different starlings out here. One of them is called a glossy starling, which is not this one. Glossy starling is slightly smaller. It's got a sort of yellowy orange around the eye. The slightly bigger one is called a Birchall starling. The same as the zebra. Because it was named by the same explorer, Mr. Birchall. I'm going to show you this log. You know, when you drive along, you see these things that you think is something. Brian, you see what we're looking at?
Yeah, great thing at the back.
Yeah, just in the edge of the grass there. I don't think it's a leopard. It certainly looked like one. No, to the right a bit. Yeah. A bit more right there. It sits in the grass. Look at it. Hey, it's a log leopard. Anyway, at a quick glance. It's always nice when you get into new areas. Is in the first couple of drives, you see these logs and termite mounds and rocks if it's a different type of habitat. And then normally by the third time, the first time you think it's something, the second time you think it's not something, and the third time you know if it's not something. So sort of get your eye in again and get your bearings, so to speak. Now, one of the questions we get often on the drive, probably one of the most common questions, is what is the best time of year to come to Africa? And I've got a standard answer for that because I do believe it's the right answer, at least in my experience. The best time of year to come to Africa is any time. The first available time that you have, the first opportunity that you have to jump in an aeroplane and get over here. If you live overseas, if you live on the continent, you jump in a car, jump in whatever you need to get and see the game reserve, see the wild places, because they are very, very special. And the second part of that answer, after the first opportunity you get, is May. I've always said, I think, especially for the low-veld, also for many parts of Namibia, Botswana, Zambia, Southern Africa, I've always said I think the best month is May. You've got the best of summer. It's still quite green. It's still vibrant. Bird life is still active. You still have a few young animals running around. But that sort of mid-summer section is over, where most of the rains are over. And the temperatures are lovely. You don't have those extremely hot days, although yesterday was pretty hot. Yesterday, even evening last night was still pretty sort of low-veld heat. But in general, you have this lovely climate, cool mornings, cool evenings, mild to warm days, and I also find it quite a nice time for wildlife. That balance of what the habitat looks like to what the wildlife is up to. So, very fortunate to be down here for this next adventure in my favorite month of best months of the year to visit Africa. Alright, I want to check quarantine one more time. Quarantine is this open area that we started on going down to the waterhole, which will be very productive going into winter as well, because of the waterhole. Obviously also the area that we refer to, it's nice visually, it's a bit more open, it's got a bit more grassland, so it is one of our very sort of productive viewing areas. Again, for those of you maybe that haven't been on that many drives, we are driving on Djuma Game Reserve and Aratuza Game Reserve, two neighboring areas. It's ecologically one area though, so Djuma, Aratuza, going further down, Cheetah Plains, Chitwa, all the way down to Mala Mala, Singita to Sabi Sabi. It's all one area, the Sabi Sands Game Reserve, named after two rivers, the Sand and the Sabi River, one running through it and one running at the bottom end of it. The Sabi Sands Game Reserve, together with a few other private game reserves, are part of the Greater Kruger National Park, so part of a very large ecological area. Meaning you have, hundreds of thousands of impala, thousands of elephant and lion and so on. And it's just a great area to be part of. We drive around on a couple of thousand acres, actually a bit more than a couple of thousand, but what is that, about 4,000 or 5,000 acres that we actually drive around on and search for animals. Old lion track from a couple of days ago, probably when those lionesses were around. And within this, there's lodge vehicles, so there's lodges where people do exactly what we're doing at the moment, just maybe a few less on the vehicle. And we work together with the game driver vehicles, the other guides, the trackers, HG of course, the other vehicle, Brent's out this morning also searching. So we all work together to build up an understanding what's going on here day to day and to find animals. So we're all going to help each other look for things and track. And in the process, while we do so, it's always nice to have a chat, answer a few questions. So if you have something to ask, shoot away. I think we're going to be answering one or two now. Good morning, Mary Ann from Arkansas. I think someone once told me at Arkansas you've got to sort of draw out the O at the end. Arkansas. Mary Ann, nice to have in the vehicle, and very true. Mary Ann's just saying, isn't this the start of the rutting season? We actually just talking about it yesterday. Brian and myself were driving up here on Zoe's Road, which is a road we've got a lovely view into the eastern parts. And there was one impala ram or one impala male on its own. Now impala I'm sure we'll see one just now and I'll show you. But again, for those of you maybe not that familiar with African wildlife, impalas are a little bit like white-tailed deer are in North America. Sort of the most abundant mid-sized, medium-sized antelope. And we saw one male by himself, and he was making alarm calls, so we were actually looking around for a leopard or something, but in the end we think he was just spooked by something because he was on his own. But I pointed out to Brian that the impala's neck was starting to get really big, and you start seeing that with a lot of antelopes, impala, kudu, where they're starting to bulk up now before winter because it is the rutting season. The rutting season just refers to the mating season, so that's the time when most of the females will go into estrus, go into heat. The males will be competing, the best males will mate with them, and they will mate over the course of the next 2 months or so. May, June is the main mating season for impala specifically, but in general also May, June, July for your larger antelopes. And that just means that the young ones are born normally into or after the first rain. So they're born around end of November, December, by which time it's rain, by which time there's new grass, so the mother has got the best opportunity of being in good condition and subsequently have the best chance of raising the youngsters. That's for your antelopes. Things like elephant, your big herbivores, elephant, rhino and so on, they don't really have a specific season. And also for your predators, you find that lions, cheetahs and so forth, leopard, there isn't really a specific season for them to have the youngsters. Good question, Marianne. I know you've been on a few drives, so always nice to have old friends back on the vehicle there. Back on the Jigger, to be specific, which vehicle? It's a name we picked for this little car when we started using how long ago is that now? We've been saying that we should be ready to say goodbye to the Jigger, but I don't think we need to. It's got a brand new engine in there, well, a brand new redone engine, but Jigger is a Shangaan word. Shangaan is the local language around here, very similar to Zulu. More of you will know, will be familiar with the Zulu culture perhaps. And in Shangaan, Jigger means to zigzag, so the ability to weave and wind around things. And when we jumped into this car the first time, you know, actually I got an interesting little fact or stat last night, and maybe a couple of you can check this out for me. But I believe yesterday was to the date anniversary of the first live drive for Wild Earth, and I'm going to be I'm not a big person for remembering exact dates. You know, I've got to remember a few dates. It's my wedding day, my wife, my children's birthday, which is coming up. The 8th of May actually is my anniversary. But I can't remember exactly the day it was, but to date, yesterday was the first drive to game drive. Oh, cool. Nice update there from the waterhole. I'm going to go have a look towards Ngari waterhole. We might find something big there. So, yeah, I'm just going into a little bit of sort of history, I guess, of Wild Earth and the Jigger and Ngari Gate. Thank you very much, guys. Just getting some information there from Tara, Nikki, and Control. Someone let them know about some elephants, not down at the dam, but up towards the gate here. Guys, maybe, I don't know if HT is going to look there as well. We'll see one of the two of us will go have a look. So the Jigger is this vehicle. She's been around and through this piece of the world many, many times. And Wendy, the other vehicle that HT is on at the moment as well. There's some hyena, fresh hyena dung. Let me actually show you this. It's from sometime last night. Unfortunately, we can't get you too close to it, but I'm going to try and get the car at an angle here, Brian. There we go. There you go. Now, from the color on that, you can see it looks a little bit almost like cement or concrete, sort of that grey whitish color. And this is from spotted hyena. You get very similar dung from brown hyena as well. And this is fresh, so I give this a day or two. If it's nice and hot today, by tomorrow it will be dried out to a large extent, and it'll go almost purely white. And that many of you might be able to guess why. And that's because hyenas do eat a lot of bones, so they've got an extremely high calcium diet, and that reflects through to the dung. And you also, once this is dry, you sometimes get little birds and things breaking that up, just, you know, picking at it and getting hairs and things like that out of it sometimes as well. So within a couple of days you won't necessarily see that anymore. Tracks next to it, not very clear tracks. I'm not going to try and point the tracks out to you now, but ooh, there's the soul start. This is obviously a spot that I last night. They cover lots of ground. They walk long distances during the night. Great sense of smell, great sense of hearing. And they respond to either fresh kills, so if they hear lions busy killing a buffalo, they're going to investigate, see if they can get some food there, or also older kills. If they walk around, they might smell a carcass from a few days back, or it's really bad times, even from a few months back, and they'll go and gnaw away at some of the remaining bones. What a morning. What a morning. I've always loved the mornings. Afternoons are great as well, but I've always loved the morning drives. It's like a new day. You've got a brand new newspaper to read. Tracks on the road are all fresh. So you really have this whole sort of possibility. A lot of animals are active at night as well. So again, the big predators are hyena, lion, leopard. They're very, very active at night. Elephants also stay active. So you just have this new sort of canvas that you can look at and see what's happening on the ground today and what might we see today. Speaking of which, HT is also driving around, looking around, and I'm sure enjoying the morning as much. He'd love to say good morning. You're going to jump on the vehicle with him a little bit. I'm going to head a little bit west and see maybe there's some big grey things around. We're hoping there might be. So enjoy it with HT, and I'll see you again in a little bit.
Good morning everyone, welcome to Wild Safari Live here from beautiful Djuma and Arathusa Game Reserves. I'm here with Andrew this morning on camera, and it's a great pleasure to be with you again. Second day back for me. What a day it was yesterday. We had an incredible morning and an incredible afternoon, particularly following my favourite leopard on the planet, Q, and he really delivered yesterday for us. Beautiful sightings, really lovely encounter. If you just joined us, let me just turn my radio down so I can hear you, the game channel. If you've just joined us and it's the first time, as I said, my name's Hayden, and I worked here in November last year, and it's just great to be back on the team again, and really having a great time with the guys. We really had a beautiful day yesterday and a good catch up last night about everything. So a little bit of a recap. What happened yesterday is we came out of the morning introduction. We saw a beautiful big male lion walking across the down wall. We followed him for a little bit, but then went around to try and cut him off and see where he was going. Peter picked up on him yesterday afternoon again, and then we picked up on Q. We found him, we followed him down to Buffelshoek Dam, went back there in the afternoon, and Andrew, my eyes in the sky, he spotted him just on the western side of the dam, and we stuck with him all afternoon. He looked like he was going to hunt, and he looked like he was interested a little bit, but it was really, really hot. And he did get going quite early. We thought he would lay there for quite a bit longer because the temperature was up there. But he decided to move on, put himself up in a tree, which is some beautiful pictures, and it was just great to be in his presence. So he went off into another property. We didn't worry about picking up on him this morning, but we have been driving around, and I think it's this time of the morning that's very important to maximise your chances with the predators. The coolness of the morning is the time that they will be most active, so lion and leopard, etc. We really would be maximising our chances, so zooming around and seeing what we can find. There hasn't been a lot of talk on the radio this morning, so I'm just keeping my ears to the Game Drive channel just to listen to what the other guides are finding. I think we probably should just move off and keep driving around and have a little bit of a chat as we go. I want to thank you for all the wonderful questions yesterday. Really did drive the drive, so to speak. And it was great when we were sitting with Q and all those questions were coming through about leopard and about the particular animal that we were looking at. Really, really helped, and you helped create that afternoon. That's what's so important, and that's so interactive about Wild Safari Live. You have the ability to interact with us, ask questions, create and craft the drive with us. Exactly what would happen on a game drive with people on the back, except we've got thousands of people on the back, and as Pete always says, it's the biggest game drive vehicle in the world, so it's great to have you on board. So if you have just joined us, and it's one of your first or second drives, we go out early in the morning, we stay up for 3 hours, and we do the same in the afternoon, and the whole idea is to try and find as many beautiful creatures as we can. But the time of the day that we're in right now, 18 degrees Celsius, about 64 degrees Fahrenheit. That might seem real tropical to some people in the world, wherever you're watching from, but there's a little bit of a chill in the air, Andrew, isn't there? We've got our jackets on, as you can see, and we're just driving along slowly, looking for any tracks on the road that are on top of tyre tracks that we think could be fresh tracks. Now, it's a really fantastic time of the day as well, because of the oblique angle of the sunshine gives you a really nice show of tracks when you see them on the road, in the sand, in the soft sand. So as we drive around, I'll probably keep driving until we bump into something and just carry on, because as I said, we need to maximise our chances at this time of the day while it's cooler. As soon as the temperature starts to rise, the bigger predators will start to find shade and lie down. That's probably, we've got a nice little elephant herd here. Ah, lovely. And I think that's a really good reason to just stop for a second. I'm just going to move up a little bit closer here. Any of you that know me, I've had some encounters here that I'll never ever forget. Just the most beautiful, gentle encounters with elephant. Being in the presence of elephant is a very, very calming experience. And I talked yesterday a little bit about wanting us to go on a little bit of a historical journey with elephants, and we'll do it bit by bit. I'm just keeping my eye on this female here. I don't know, I can't recognise this female, and it has been a while since I've been here. To my right is matriarch of this small breeding herd. For a mammal, we have quite a long gestation period as well. We nurture our young for long periods of time like they do, and we stay in family units. We stay in family units for very long periods of time. And I think that goes much deeper than that. You know, historically, thousands of years BC, elephants have been in our lives, in our worlds. And I mentioned yesterday Aristotle, you know, the famous historian who was really the true scientist, first scientist of elephants, and has wrote many a passage on what the connection we have with elephants are. And I also mentioned to everyone yesterday that was watching to go off and have a little bit of a research after you've finished watching Wild Safari Live, and read up some of the writings and some of the small passages, the more famous ones, about what he said about elephants. But there's loads of different things that he wrote and found these similar traits. But throughout history, of ancient history, these animals have been revered in all different ways, and it's carried on. It's carried on right up to present day. We look at them as we're with them, and there's a definite mystery about this incredible creature, that they allow us to be in their presence. They're quite capable of sorting us out, but they don't. If we read the behaviour and we just arrive in a very, very gentle manner, you can be in the presence of these animals for a very long time. Now what I'm going to do is just start up, just sit here for a bit, make sure that the female, this matriarch on my right, doesn't feel like I'm going to be driving in the middle of her herd. So I'm just going to drive up gently. Okay, my girl. There's a few more up here, so I'll just put us up in a little position here that it's always good to let the elephants just dictate the moves there. If they want to move away from us or past us, they've got the option to do that. And we just go nice and gently great respect. A lovely light on that animal just there. Is that a good shot for you there, Andrew? I might move forward for you a little bit, mate. Yeah. It's really nice. It's beautiful light, and it's the cool of the day here as well. Just feeding on different vegetation. And it's a little bit like a smorgasbord, a little bit like a buffet for elephants. They'll walk through, and depending on what their needs are, they'll pick off whatever vegetation they desire and walk as they browse and graze. Let's move forward a little bit for you, Andrew. It's a nice youngster over here with just small tusks, but really beautiful. Nice light on them. I also find, folks, that when I'm in the presence of elephants, I have a tendency not to. You might think, yeah, sure, not to talk as much as I normally probably would, and I think the thing because of that is just nice to be in a really peaceful environment with them. To give you a little sort of touch of the senses this morning, we've talked about the temperature. It's about, yeah, it's starting to warm up a little bit, ever so slightly. There's a beautiful sweet smell, and I always talk about that sweet smell that grass has early in the morning, and it really does add to the atmosphere. Here they're just starting to move off. We'll stick with them for a little bit. Just want to make sure that female behind is okay. And once I get to know us a little bit, we might go a little bit closer. At the moment, the road that we're on just sort of goes around with them, so I'm not going to drive off-road at the moment for any reason. There's no need to. The Dyker there. Can you see him, Andrew? Just in there, mate. There's that log, that tree that's fallen over. Go straight in there where you are. Straight in. There's a little Dyker just in there hiding. Elephant's just flushed him out. There you go. You can just see his ears moving just there. Little grey Dyker. Dyker is spelled D-U-I-K-E-R. It's a small antelope that dives through the undergrowth in that manner and hides in those little thickets. And Dyker in Afrikaans means diver. That's exactly what they do. They dive through that vegetation. You can't really see him. You might see him if I start up the vehicle, but lovely little antelope. You normally just see them fleeting through the bush, but he's just dropped down again to hide. I'm going to stick with these ellies for a bit. Just going to move around. There's a nice individual here. And you start to see there's a couple of birds flying around with the elephants. Flying around with the elephants. Flying around as the elephants are browsing and grazing. Can you get in there, Andrew? I don't know if you can. I'll just come in here and we'll just let this individual just make the moves and dictate what she wants to do. Now, those birds that I was talking about, you'll see a lot of these little black birds. We'll try and get a focus on one soon as well, and I'll show you on my phone. There you go. Well done, mate. Excellent. Fork-tailed drongo. Really beautiful little bird. You know, quite a common resident. I just find them fascinating little bird. What they're doing right now is, as the elephant walks through the bush and brushes up against trees or picks up vegetation, that bird will be benefiting from that and eating any insects that fly off, and just keep following those elephants. And it really is a great little benefit to the fork-tailed drongo. Just going to drive forward a little bit. I really do see those little drongos going along with them. So I don't want to startle this little one here because he's got his trunk up. He's just wondering where his team are. He's lost sight of his he's lost sight of his family there, and now he's found them again. There's another little road around the other side there. I'm just going to drive around on that and see if I can, because I think what they're going to do is go down across this little valley. I can see them on the move, so if you stick with us, I'll go across. There's a road that goes down to an old hyena den that I remember. Oh, there's loads of elephant here. This is lovely. This is a really lovely breeding herd. So we might just plonk ourselves right in the middle of these guys and just see how long we can stick with them. The reason why I'm going to go around, folks, is because there's a lot of little sort of running depressions of erosion down through here. A lot of water comes off here and goes down into this little valley here. So it's a bit tricky to get across in the vehicle without bashing around. There's a little road that goes off down here. If I can, I can probably just go in here. Now here's that smell. I had a lovely question yesterday. I might just go in here and just plonk ourselves down in here. Had a lovely question yesterday about what's the smell of elephants from one of you wonderful viewers, and I do apologise for not remembering the person's name, but it was a great question because I had to really think about how to describe it. Oh, lovely, lovely breeding herd here, everyone. Folks, this is magic stuff. Look at the light on that beautiful mama. It's okay, my girl. We're just coming over to say a little hello. How's that for you, Andrew? 3/4 light on there. Fantastic. And I now have the information that I need, and I just couldn't remember. My memory's going on me, folks. I'm getting old. It was Kari in Costa Rica yesterday asked a beautiful question about what elephants do smell like. What's their scent? And it really did make me try and come up with some description of what they do, because it's a very unusual smell. It's a smell all of its own. But I sort of explained it as a cross between that beautiful smell of horses, and I'm not talking about the dung, I'm talking about the actual scent of the animal. And then I sort of said, if you can imagine that with like a really nice sort of cattle smell, but then you get some herbs or some sort of run your hand through a herb garden and mix all that together in your head, and you get this really beautiful musty smell of elephant. And I just got a waft of that as we were coming up to these individuals here. Now, that's a beautiful sight to see that youngster. And there's what I was talking about before. Just in front of that adult female there, you'll see that little fork-tailed drongo. See him just sitting there on the left of the screen, waiting for a little insect to fly off. Really lovely to see animals interacting and benefiting from one another. And that's why, you know, when somebody says to you, oh, how does it all fit together? How does this ecosystem and these habitats fit together? Every single thing that we're looking at right in front of us, elephant, grass, plants, bird, it all is connected. So I wanted to give you a little bit more about the senses. So we did the temperature and the smell of the grass and everything, and a waft of that elephant scent as well. And just to tell you a little bit about the sound at the moment, all we've got really is the couple of different bird species in the background being noisy, a couple of starlings and yeah, loads of different birds in the background. And then we've got this sort of gentle sort of sound of the elephants gardening, really. They're just ripping up bits of grass and taking bits of foliage off trees. It's a very, very peaceful setting, folks, and I'm so glad to have you on board. If you do have any questions, please, you can tweet us at hashtag Safari Live if you're tweeting us, and questions at WildEarthTV if you want to email us, and we'd be more than happy to answer them. And as I always say, if I don't know the answer to the question, I'll look it up for you, I'll find out about it for you and come back to you. I had a question yesterday about, a really good one, about why hyenas have a tendency to be always laying on the road. I'm yet to ask a couple of the other guides about it and see what their thoughts are, but we'll come back to you on that one. It won't be necessarily a definitive answer, because I think everyone will have their own opinion on it, but it'll be an answer nonetheless. And yeah, honestly, we look at these things and we learn so much when we're out here from you as well, which is really important. You're a big part of this. If it wasn't for you watching, we wouldn't be here. So if you've got those questions, shoot them through. We'd be love to hear from you. And everyone, welcome aboard this morning on this beautiful, beautiful morning on Djuma and Arathusa Game Reserves in Sabi Sands. It's beautiful, beautiful, Andrew, hey?
It's wonderful.
Just magic, mate.
And it's starting to warm up, so it's getting even better.
Welcome aboard, Chula. Lovely to have you with us. Chula's just sent us a tweet and wants to know if elephants sleep like horses. Chula, the sleeping habits of elephants vary. I've seen elephants in areas of Zimbabwe, for example, that aren't as comfortable as these elephants are with us here. Not behaving like other elephants in other places. And what I'm trying to say there is they might not be as comfortable or conditioned or habituated. When I've worked in areas like this and I've seen elephants that are very comfortable, you find elephants lying down sometimes, even to sleep, when they're comfortable in a nice breeding herd where they've got lots of support. So sometimes there'll be a standing up period of sleep. But they also will lie down when the things are comfortable enough for them, and they feel secure. But you do find the youngsters definitely lie down and have very, very lovely nap times together with the females standing guard. I remember last November when we were here over in an area called Quarantine, on just probably about a kilometre from where we are now. I saw an afternoon nap of all the babies, of about 6 youngsters, lying down in the cool, in the shade, on some sand, and all the mothers standing around them in a circle. It's one of the most beautiful things to see, and just one of those connections again. You know, it was like mums. It was mums, human mums, that will gather, and their youngsters are asleep, and they're all just socializing, you know. And I think it's a really, really great thing. You draw these analogies all the time, and I don't know, maybe I'm just being a little bit anthropomorphic there, but there's something definitely being in the presence of these animals. I'm not going to drive down any further. I don't think we need to. They're static at the moment. They're just sort of milling around that little point on the grassy area there. just sit with them, because she has got, that female's got quite a young animal with her, a young calf, and the other one has as well. Just to drive down there just to get an extra 10 metres closer would probably make them feel a little bit uncomfortable. And we've got nice pictures here, so let's just be. But Djuma, just to answer your question, there's all different habits, but they do a variation of sleep, bit of standing up, youngsters a little bit more lying down, depending on where they are. Welcome aboard, David. In Chicago, one of my favourite cities in the world. Mate, what a beautiful place you live. I've spent a lot of time in Chicago, and I've been there when it's been very, very chilly, and I've been there when it's been beautiful and hot as well, so I do love your city. A great question, David, and it's, can African elephants be domesticated like Asiatic elephants? Well, it hasn't been done as probably as long as Asiatic elephants have done, been domesticated. Thousands of years ago, African elephants were utilised for many, many different things, because elephants used to occur right the way up to the Mediterranean, and before the Great Sahara took hold of that part of North Africa. It was lush. There was forests and tropical areas there that elephants used to thrive in, and then after the Sahara started to take hold, elephants ended up being pushed out of that area, and the elephant they tried to many times, but it wasn't as successful as their Asian cousins. And then word got across that area of Asia that the Asiatic elephant was being domesticated and utilised, particularly in a war situation. And there's lots of historical accounts of different armies using, and different battles where elephants were used, and to really shock the opponents in battle. And there's loads and loads of horrific sort of stories have happened, and accounts of that. But back to your question, and there was method to what I was saying there. The Asiatic elephant was carried on being domesticated, where the African elephant wasn't so much. And there's many a camp in Africa, many a zoo for that matter, that has works their African elephants. You can talk to elephant keepers, and there's a word you may have heard or may not have, but I'll let you know what the word is anyway. The name is a mahout, and it's an Asian word, Mahoot, I think, and I think there's a variation on that as well, Mahout, and it's an Asian word for elephant minder or trainer, or the person that manages the elephant. And mahouts will probably tell you that Asiatic elephants are more manageable, one could say, for want of a better word, more easier to condition, but at the same time a force to be reckoned with. It has just never been one of those things that's happened with the African elephant historically. And as I said, if you look back in time, you can see how those battles occurred, and how the fragmentation of the utilization of African versus Asian elephants in the sort of 300s BC type of time of history. And there's great ways you can go and look up further things on the internet or in books after you've watched Safari Live, David. Don't want to send you off looking now, but it's really worthwhile. Very interesting information about the Asian elephant and the African elephant and how they were trained. I've worked with Asiatic elephants, and I've still got a great couple of mates in Australia that work with Asiatic elephants a lot, and it's definitely a very, very complex lifestyle being an elephant handler, but something very rewarding as well. And I have a tendency these days just to like doing what I'm doing. Hi Ramey. Ramey is in California, and Ramey's asked a really, really great question. Do elephants react differently in Kruger Park proper as opposed to Greater Kruger where we are? And yeah, I'll just sort of give a little bit of the backstory there. Remy, what happened is once the fences between Sabi Sands, the western edge of Sabi Sands and the Kruger National Park were removed, the elephants had a lot more access to land. There's an area, you may be able to find a map as well, which will show you the northern and the southern corridors, and that's the areas that elephants use to come in and out of Sabi Sands. Now, there's historical events, and I really want to bring this thread through our storyline of talking about elephants over the next 10 days. And, you know, it's just things that I've read, Remy, and everyone listening, and things that I've sort of studied and my fascination with elephants. But in 1966, I was one, by the way, but anyway, we'll move on. A fantastic man, an incredible scientist, probably one of the godfathers of elephant conservation, Ian Douglas Hamilton in Kenya, started his first studies up there in Manyara, Lake Manyara National Park, very small national park compared to others, and they had to try and find out why the vegetation was being so badly affected, and so he did endless studies of the population of elephants there, and he spent, you know, years and years with individuals, getting to know them very, very well, and there's loads and loads of accounts that you can read of that. So I've had the privilege of meeting him once before, and so a famous man with a famous family and a wonderful wife and daughter, and that elephants are a huge part of their life and always will be. And he found that when he was out there and studying, and the elephants weren't being persecuted as they are in this day and age, there was these connections. You could actually build these bonds with elephants after what the word I like to use is habituation, which is basically a conditioning tool that you can do. You get slowly closer to the animal, get to let them get to know you a bit more. And of course, there's going to be occasions where you'll have a temperamental individual that will show you that their strength and their power, and you've got to make sure that you can get out of that, because you'll only do it once. And he went away and moved into other areas of Africa, of Kenya, that he was working. And he basically came back to Manyara after there was a load of a big poaching onslaught for years and years. And I do remember reading some things, and these might be slightly inaccurate, but it's just me recollecting them, that he said he was approaching elephants that he used to be able to walk up to, and as soon as they heard a vehicle, gone. And this is only like 5, maybe 10 years after he'd studied them for 15 years or something and been with them. So what my point of that conversation, and to answer your question, Remy, was that in California, is elephants do remember hugely about what's affected them and the encounters they've had, and that'll be either passed on to their offspring if they had a bad encounter, and it could be a vehicle, it could be seeing a particular person or a particular group of people that might scare them a lot. And it's a very, very sad sort of state of affairs, but at the same time, it depends in Kruger what's happened. If those animals have come further and they've had a bad altercation once in their life, and remembering these animals can get up to 60, 65 years old, in that 65 years, if they've had some bad situations occur with humans or something else, they may react like that to us, or they may react like that to other people. So there's no real sort of... So it was a very long-winded answer. I do apologise, but the reason I went on like that was because every animal and every individual has had different encounters. Some animals will tolerate a vehicle much more than others. This herd, for example, which we're going to just catch up on now, seem to be very, very relaxed with us. And I'm going to just go and see where they are and see if we can stick with them. So I've contradicted myself completely, because I said when we first arrived, yeah, I like to just be with elephants a little bit, not talk too much. I haven't really stopped for breath in the last 15 minutes. So I do get very, very excited about being in the presence of the elephant. They are probably one of my favourite animals on the planet, and I head back up onto this little road that I talked about. See if we can cut down. Oh, it's right here anyway. I might try and go up a little bit ahead of them, and if I can go up ahead of them, let's see. Actually, we might go down the road and then just sit on their tail for a bit. They seem really, really relaxed with us, folks. So this is the lovely thing. Once an animal gets to know you, or a herd gets to know you, that you're not a threat, you can just sit on the tail of the herd and hopefully be a little bit, I don't know, like to imagine ourselves as maybe one of the members for a little bit. It's all right, my girl. It's okay, my girl. There's a load of elephant here. I'll just try and focus up on her again and just see what she's doing, her youngster. I don't want to startle her by getting too close in there, but I can move in a little bit closer. Just let me come around. I don't want her little youngster to get frightened. That's the most important thing. So if he's comfortable, then everyone's comfortable. When you're sitting with elephants as well, it's always good to, you've got to have your wits about you. You've got to look around you and make sure you don't actually cut off members of the family and get between either matriarch or a youngster that's just been grazing or browsing. And you know, you get in between his mum and him, and he's not going to be happy about that. She's not going to be happy about that. I'm just going to drive around, folks, because I just saw a little bit of erosion channel there. I'm just going to go around the other side, folks. Whilst I'm doing that, let's cross over to see what Pete's up to, because these animals are not moving very fast, and I can position myself over there. We'll come back and have a look at them just now, but let's go see what Pete's up to, and we'll be right back. See you just now.
Well guys, awesome seeing those elephants with HD. We actually drove past not too far from there, so I had a glimpse of them as well. And I think it's almost certainly the same herd that we saw yesterday afternoon. So it's often nice with breeding herds, is they can stick around an area for a couple of days or even a couple of weeks. You know, they use certain water holes, they do some feeding in the area, and then they move on. So you get the opportunity to spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days if you're lucky, where you can see the same herd and where you get to know them. And as we discussed yesterday, where they get to know you a little bit as well. So they get to know the sound of the vehicle. Hey, this is good. Very good. So I'll tell you what I'm seeing just now. In fact, I'm just trying to get the right angle here. There we go. So yeah, nice to see those elephants again. I'm sure H2 was enjoying it. He had a beautiful view as well there. I'm going to try and get you over my shoulder here. Let me just... Brian, I think those would be good, those ones there, because they're on top of elephant tracks as well. So you've actually got 2 of the big 5 tracks there, 3 if you count the Jiggers one, which is this one from the Land Rover. But the round track there, so if you look at the bigger track first, the sort of the sort of oval shaped track. That little black tip there, that would be the toe. So the elephant's walking and then kicking up his foot as he moves and kicking the sand forward. So this is an elephant track heading in that direction. There's the toe pointing that direction. And on top of that, we've got a female leopard track, which is this one. You can see the 4 toes, 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. And then this is the heel. Now, because we can't get right next to it with the angle of the camera, I can't show you the heel exactly. But if you look very carefully, you'll see there's 3 little lobes at the back. 1, 2, 3. And you get that with all cat tracks. So everything from a house cat to a tiger or a lion or a leopard, you get those 3 lobes in the back. Hyenas, wild dogs, you get sort of an uneven 2-lobe track at the back. So that's the easy sort of identification of it. This is quite a small track. I must say I'm a bit curious. Might be Karula, but I'd go as far as saying maybe another young female in the area. I'm still catching up again with which leopards are around. This track has gone down to the waterhole. It's come back as well. So it has been around here. And this time of year it is getting drier, so you get more activity around waterholes. And I was just going to say, we're actually just heading down to the waterhole. We're about 200-300 yards away from Treehouse Dam, and I'm going to say we should go see what's going on there. It's always exciting every single time, and I've driven up to waterholes in Africa many thousands of times. It's always exciting. Just coming down to it, there might be elephants, there might be buffalo, there might be a leopard under the bush somewhere, or just a few antelope. Bird life is normally great around waterholes, so it's always exciting driving up to waterholes. And obviously, if you've got some nice fresh leopard tracks from the night before going down to the waterhole, that gives you an extra possibility of finding a dappled cat. So let's go have a look. Just coming up on it. Now, a lot of these roads that we drive, these little tracks, they were often in the earlier days made on animal tracks. In other words, there's a waterhole, there's a drainage line, the sort of topography dictates it a little bit, and you have these footpaths developing for animals, and that's some of the footpaths the guys would then start using with the vehicles, and over the years they became the tracks. So you do find that these days many animals, especially animals with padded feet, so elephant, leopard, lion, hyena, they use the same road networks that we do. It's easy to walk on. If you were walking in the bush, you'd be worrying about sticks and thorns and ticks and all kinds of things. If you're walking here, you've got a perfect, clean, sandy track to walk along, no thorns, no sticks. So you do get a lot of activity on the roads, and therefore in the mornings especially, it's a great newspaper to read. You can come out here and see, oh, well, there was a leopard, female, looks like she was up and down, so maybe you've got a kill in the area because she came to drink twice, or she brought the cubs down. You can tell all these things from the tracks, and the roads make for good tracking because it's sandy roads, because the cars drive on it. It's a bit softer, the soil, so you get the tracks imprinting better. So you get it's sort of like reading it in clearly typed out bold letters as opposed to someone's scribbled handwriting if you're following it through the bush. Let's see, here's the waterhole just coming up on the left, and as always, just get a little bit of a spike in attention, a little bit of potential adrenaline, because you don't know what you're going to see. I've had so many amazing surprises in this waterhole. As I said, it's called Treehouse Dam. Way back in the days, they used to have a little treehouse, and not a treehouse, more like a little platform that you could sit on and view animals when they come to drink. Just going to go up onto the wall here, get it slightly elevated, and we're just going to stop for a minute or two and see a bit more forward. As always, beautiful to see. You can see there's almost no wind today. Just look at the reflections on the water there. You can see almost like a mirror. Slight ripple. In fact, the ripples are more from animals living in the water, terrapins and insects and things like that, rather than the wind. But nothing big and hairy that I can see at the moment. Those elephants that you saw with HT just a few minutes ago, when we found them yesterday, it was at this waterhole. And where they've moved to now, they haven't actually moved that far from where we left them yesterday afternoon. So they are sticking around the area. Very good chance that they will come and drink at the same waterhole again later in the day. Or they could also move along either to Gari waterhole, which is the next one, or if they go further to the west, they'll be heading towards Aratuza way. Well spotted. That little dot in the middle of the water there, even though you don't will see too much of it, that is the head of a terrapin just peeking out. But I think we're going to move on. Speaking of waterholes, Twin Dams is also not too far from here. It's only a few minutes drive, and we're going to cover a little bit of ground and go there as well. This time of year, any time of year, but especially now, waterholes can be sort of an easy place to find things. You know, it's like sort of going to the mall. The chance of bumping into your friends are much better than just walking along a random road. So we're going to make our way towards Twin Dams. But I actually want to take the road on the southern side of the drainage line. Always a funny thing, these waterholes. You see, if you sat here for another 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 5 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, at any moment, at any given second, something could walk in here. I mean, we could just, in the time we've all turned around now, and it's happened to me many times, you just turn around and something, you come back and boom, there's a leopard sitting having a drink or something like that. So waterholes, as many of you might have done in the past, or if you've been to Africa before, it's great sometimes just to go and sit at waterholes. A beautiful place like this, great view. Take a few minutes or a few hours and just enjoy it, and just listen to the sounds and the peace and the quiet. Inevitably, you will find something. But we're not going to do that today. We're going to move along and look for things. I'll show these actually. Let's go a little bit closer. Speaking of a great view, we all like the houses next to the beach if we can. Look at all these nests. These are from weaver birds. Almost all of these nests, in fact all of them I think, are disused now. So they've finished the breeding season, they've had the little weaver chicks, and now they're just empty husks really. Next summer they'll build new ones again. These little basket shaped nests. Amazing how they build them. Just using a beak and a bird brain. They have these intricate designs and amazing engineering. Guys, as I said, we've got a couple of minutes. Just going to drive along towards Twin Dams. It's probably, I don't know, time is relative when you're driving around here, but 3 or 4 minutes away. So there's time for 1 or 2 questions. If you want to send a few through, we're going to talk about them and see what we find on the way. Well, and I'm not sure if I've got the pronunciation right, but Djuma in Michigan, welcome on the drive. Got quite a few people and friends in Michigan. Been coming on drive for quite a while. Djuma's just asking if it's easy to find, if I understood the question correctly, if it's easy to find the nesting site of a lilac-breasted roller. So this one to. Awesome, guys. So I just had to listen to that. That's the game drives. Remember, we're just at Treehouse Dam. We're following fresh leopard tracks. I'm not going to say anything more than that for now. But Djuma, coming back to the lilac-breasted roller, it's not that easy to find the nesting sites unless, if you found it, it's easy to find it again. What I mean with that is they nest in holes. They're hole nesting birds like hornbills and woodpeckers. And if you do find the nest, it's great because it's such a stunning bird, and it's normally in a dead tree, so you've got the grey log, if you want, with a hole in it, and seeing a lilac-breasted roller coming out of that is always amazing. I just want to see if I can get onto the road here, Mike. Andrew again. Aubrey again. Aubrey again. Guys, in final control, if I can ask you a big favor, you can just ask HT just to let Aubrey know I'm going to join him. I've just got a small problem with my game drive radio. If HT can just let Aubrey know I want to join him, that would be great. And as I said, I don't want to promise, but this is we've got Ingwe and the birds and the sounds and everything you know about the bush, trying to tell you things and that you can read quite well. Then we've got the bush radio, which is this one, which is the one where all the game drives and the trackers and the guides talk to each other. And that really is an extremely handy tool when it comes to finding game. Except mine at the moment is needing a new antenna, so I can't get hold of Aubrey. But we will find him. And while we do that, we're going to quickly go back to HT. He's got something he wants to show you. And there's a couple of buffalo. We'll quickly look at these guys. They're coming down to drink. Look at that. There's a nice big guy coming through the foliage. They're heading down to the water. But while they're walking through the thick stuff, you're going to join Hayden for a bit, but I think you're going to be back with us again shortly. So see you just now.
This is quite beautiful, folks. We've just placed ourselves right here and we've let the animals dictate the moves. If they wanted to go around us or move a direction that that they didn't want to be near us, they would. At the moment we've got an adult female coming up very close. She's only probably about, I'd say probably about 6 or 7 metres, which is about 20 feet away from the vehicle at the moment. But we've also got over on the right a couple of very, very funny little characters, a couple of youngsters playing with each other, and they're really having a whale of a time. Really beautiful. And this is what youngsters do. They joust and they have little bouts like this, and this is how they learn how to interact. How beautiful. Well, Janice in Wisconsin, lovely to have you on board with us today. Thank you very, very much for your question. Do elephants have a breeding season? Well, not as such. They will breed all year round, but it's normally the height of the rainy season they'll give birth, and that's just to maximise their chances to get food for themselves. The gestation period for an elephant is 22 months. I'm sure you probably know that, but it is the longest gestation period of a mammal, and they would time it if they can to sort of coincide with the rainy season. That's when the trends have been known. But most of all, they can breed all year round because they actually can utilise so much of the vegetation band. They can get food from the leaves of trees, the bark, grasses, small shrubs. They really can monopolise the whole vegetation band, and it's a great thing. So they normally start to breed. You might get around 11, 12 years, the females will start to breed. It really can differentiate so much about how the distance between offspring. It can be anywhere between 5 and 9 years. It's just all that same connection that I was talking about before. It's similar to us humans. We look after and we nurture our young just like they do. They're fantastic. So to answer your question, Dennis, it's basically all year round, but there's been known trends to be heightened in the rainy season. So folks, what I think we might do is I think we might move off, because I just had word that there might be a little pussycat somewhere. Thank you, my girls. That was absolutely beautiful to be around you. Very, very tolerant, and she came so close to us. It's okay, my girl. It's okay. Yeah, so young boys were just having a bit of a tussle and a bit of a vocalization. I'm going to head up here now and make up my way down to Treehouse Dam again. I just heard on the radio that there might be a couple of vehicles there, so we might have to get in line. But I think there might be. I'm just going to listen to the radio, folks. Please excuse me.
Here's what we got now. Okay, just to give you a perspective of where we are. This is the dam we were sitting at just a few minutes ago, saying you never know if you sit there long enough what might happen. As we came back, there's a buffalo drinking, and hold on to your seats. Maybe something else. See where we went now, you go in here. Oh, there he goes, I see the vehicle. I think that's either Aubrey or Andrew. I can hear them a little bit, but I can't speak to them. That's Andrew. Oh, great. Guys, as I said, I'm rather going to show you than tell you. Andrew.
I think it's your best approach is on the
Other side.
Right now, yeah, you just got enough and then right to the south.
Cool, come on. My radio is non-kinka, so it's alright, I can join, huh?
It's not a problem, yeah. I mean,
Oh, there we go. Awesome.
kind of south.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for your help.
Guys, look at awesome. Nice to see you, man.
Nice to see you too, man.
Brilliant, guys. Just chatting to Andrew, sorry, we're just asking them if I can join them at the sighting. We had a glimpse there. There we go, look at that. Hey! Ah, my first leopard since we're back. That's awesome. Guys, we're going to join them. We're going to have to get to the other side of this dip. Andrew's one of the guides. Cheetah Plains. Andrew, have you got an ID?
Yeah, it looks like a Kunyuma.
Awesome. Let's see if we can catch up. One of my favorite leopards, I think it's in Kunyuma. Who's the brother of Quarantino, the brother of Q that you saw yesterday with Hayden up in the tree. So, Rula, the female we talked about earlier, the two boys, just over around 2 years old now. Kunyuma is the one, Q is the other one. Not the track that we saw, funny enough. This track would be quite a bit bigger than that by now. Guys, I'm going to have to just cover a bit of ground. We're going to have to get around to the outside. So, I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit. Whee! Good morning, guys. I'm going to have to say good morning to this is a very good friend of mine. I've known him for about 10 years. Mr. Bernie, nice to meet you. Yes, I'm very excited to be back. We are live at the moment, so I'm going to keep it short. And I think southern side of the drainage line's better. And I've got radio comms issues, so I'll just talk to you guys. Beautiful bushveld and Madura Ingwe. Yeah. Cool. Are you here for a few days?
Going on to the drive side.
Yeah. Cool. See you next time. Yeah. Awesome, Bernie. Cheers, guys. Hello. How are you? Very good. Have a nice morning. So I used to work here for a number of years as a guide as well. So many of these guys, different landowners, Bernie, the owner lodge over this way, they've become very, very good friends. And whenever I pop back here, it's great to see them. So I had to try and say quick hello. He didn't even know there was a leopard there. So happy surprise for him. Hold on a little bit. Sorry guys, this is such a privilege, you know, to see a leopard in the wild. Let's get through the dip here. beautiful game. They see maybe 2 or 3 leopards in a year. So you get places where people, even doing this daily as a job, could go 1, 2, 3, 4 months without seeing a leopard. And then if they see it, it might be in the distance, up in a tree, up in a rock face, maybe hiding from them. So to see a leopard the way we do in the Sabi Sands, where it's just right here, we can experience them and feel them and hear them, is always such an amazing privilege and such an exciting thing to experience. Now I'm just going to try and catch up with this one. Bull. I haven't seen him, Brian. He's just in here on our left-hand side, sort of 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock now. Keep in mind, this is Kunyuma. His name means a little bit shy. It's one of my favorite leopards. Beautiful cat. He's got an amazing face. But he's a little bit not shy necessarily, but he can be a bit elusive if he wants to be. Sit for a bit. He does have this drainage line that he can move in as well. So he's got great cover here, great leopard sort of habitat or terrain to move through. Let's poke our noses in here. Where's he gone? So as I said, great habitat here for leopard to move in and to disappear into. Leopard like sort of, well, all kinds of habitat actually. They're incredibly well adapted cats to anything from desert to jungle. But when they've got good cover, they can move through it like wind. You know it's there, but you can't see it. Well, the last direction Aubrey and his tracker, William, were pointing in was about here. Very well noticed there, Lisa. It's the benefit of having been on a few drives there. I didn't want to mention it earlier because the view was so brief, but Lisa just mentioning there that it looks like he's got a very full belly, and definitely agree on that. So I think he's had a meal maybe last night. Need to find him again now. But yes, Lisa, definitely agree. I do think he's been eating. But we might have a little bit of bad signal. We're going to have to dip the antenna. We're also in a lowish area, so if we disappear or break up, don't worry. We will sort of even out again. That's the beauty of being live and the challenge of being in the bush. So just stick with us. We're going to find this leopard again. Andrew again. Oh, one of the most beautiful things you can ever see in the wild. Absolutely gorgeous. I love their tails. Leopard's tails is like a little message of, you know, what they're feeling like, what they're thinking of. You can see excitement there, you can see annoyance there, you can see, look at that little twitch of the tail, just look at that. He's looking at something, even though, as Lisa mentioned, he's got a full belly. Just the way he's moving, the habitat he's moving through, this is a great opportunity for him to possibly hunt again. Leopards are extremely opportunistic, like all predators. Alright, I've got a little place we can get into here before it gets very, very tricky terrain, but how cool is that? My favorite young male leopard in the area. Kunyuma sort of stole my heart last time. After we had to spend a bit of time almost to habituate him to us, to get him used to us. I've taken one of my all-time favorite leopard pictures actually of him while we were doing that. Okay, this is very tough terrain. You can get in here for a ways and then it's going to get too thick. There's a squirrel calling. Squirrels don't like leopards because leopards like squirrels. You can often use them to find leopard as well. Right, it should be somewhere just here, huh? No idea. I've got a feeling he should be on our left still, but these guys are like ghosts in the bush. Bernie, do you read? Guys, if you can copy me, he's just on the eastern side of Weaver's Nest now, on the southern side of the Skovanin. I don't see him at all now, Brian, nothing, huh? Oh, I like this leopard though. Squirrel's going nuts. I think there could be a pun in that somewhere. Come on, he's got to be just here on the left. But guys, just look at that habitat, so you can think a pink elephant could hide in there, but never mind a leopard that's got these amazing markings. Just quickly, one of the differences, people sometimes confuse leopard and cheetah while we're looking for one. Cheetah have got spots. Cheetahs actually have spots on them, whereas leopards, even though they don't change their spots, they actually have rosette markings. So they've got these sort of dappled combination or patterns of black spots with dark brown and rust brown in it, beige as well, white. Beautiful markings, beautiful coats, but it gives them incredible camouflage. I wonder if he stopped there, just listening to the squirrel. Let's try this. Past. It's a tricky time to find him again. He's slipped away from us. Brian. Come on, Kunyuma. Oh, he's grown. I mean, I've been away for 5 months and you can see that he's gotten bigger. Okay guys, here's the plan. We really have to consider the habitat here. It just gets thicker as we go in here. And there's no ways we'll keep up with any leopard, never mind one that does tend to be a little bit evasive or elusive. We're going to go into the other side of this drainage line. There is a road and we can go over to this side. Try and first find him again and then keep up with him until we can get closer again. That I think is the prudent plan for the moment. Hold on, we're going to go that side. go through the dip. You can have a little bit of break up against signal wires, don't worry. It will sort itself out on the other side. So he was literally in the sort of very edge of the scorpion in itself with the drainage line. Riverbed or drainage line as we call it, and I've got a feeling the leopard might actually have gone either into it or on the very, very sort of thick edge of it. So at least here we can keep up pace wise. Now we're just going to try and find him again, and the best way to do that would be to use other helpers. The squirrel is still calling, but now squirrels, once he's seen the leopard, he will keep calling even though it's moved past, just to make sure that everything else knows there's a leopard around. I heard a bird alarm call, and then we just need very sharp eyes and a good bit of luck, and we'll find him again. Might also be that he pops back onto this road. Sometimes leopards do that. If he's moving through the thick stuff and he's like, oh, you know what, the squirrel has seen me, the birds have seen me, they're all shouting about me now, so the others ahead of me know I'm coming. What they do sometimes is they stop that sort of, you know, zigzag, jigga kind of movement through the bush, and they pop back on the road and they cover some ground. So we'll look for his tracks as well. But my feeling sort of tells me that if he kept moving at the pace he was moving, the time we've had to get out of there, he should be somewhere from where we are now onwards in the next 100 yards or so. So basically we need that bit of luck I mentioned. It's so exciting always, and when we know for a fact that we are within 100 yards of a leopard at the moment. And if we hadn't seen him earlier, we could have just driven past you 100 times and not known it.